So why will your recruitment business never grow beyond 1 million? Now, most businesses get stuck, and they get stuck between that 500,000 and £1 million mark. And it brings the same stress, the same problems, the same founder doing everything. And every January, they convince themselves that this year is going to be different. A good month, a bad month, a good quarter, a bad quarter, and they still find themselves firefighting. Now, the frustrating part is the founder is working harder every year, but they don't feel like anything's moving forward. If you're a recruitment business and you feel busy, but you really don't see progression, this is the video for you. Most recruitment founders don't hit a revenue ceiling, they hit a control ceiling. And the thing stopping firms growing beyond 1 million isn't what they think. It isn't the market, it isn't the economy, it isn't LinkedIn, and it certainly isn't because there aren't enough clients. I've spent nearly 20 years inside recruitment businesses. I've scaled teams, I've built offices, I've led contract and permanent divisions, and I've worked with founder-led businesses doing hundreds of thousands and then to the tens of millions. And I've noticed something. The firms that are under 1 million usually have the same problems. Maybe different sectors, different locations, different founders, but the same issues. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So today, I'm going to talk you through the reasons recruitment businesses get stuck at 1 million and what needs to change if they really want to move forward beyond that. So reason one, the founder is still the business. Okay, so the first reason is founder dependency. The founder is the best salesperson. The founder has the biggest clients, solves the biggest problems, deals with the most difficult deals, or maybe makes all decisions, which sounds great until you realize you've actually built a job. You've not built a business. And every important decision still routes through one person, which is you, the founder. And the business can only grow at the speed of your capacity. And eventually that's going to run out. So here's the test. If you disappeared for 30 days, what breaks first? Would revenue continue to flow? Would jobs still be won? Would performance still be managed? Would decisions still get made? If the answer is no to any of these, you've found your bottleneck. The reason two is the revenue is coming from too few places. So most recruitment businesses, they think they've got a revenue problem, but what they actually have is a concentration problem. So ask yourself, what percentage of revenue comes from your largest client? What percentage comes from your top billers? And what percentage comes from your top 5 clients? Most founders I speak to don't know, or worse, they do know, and they're terrified of the answer. And I've seen businesses where one client represents 30% revenue, and I've seen businesses where consultants themselves produce 40% of the total GP. That isn't a growth problem, that is exposure. The business feels healthy until one client leaves, one biller resigns, one procurement change happens, then suddenly everything changes. And that £1 million business, it needs diversification, not just more revenue, more sources of revenue. They need a change. Reason 3, activity is high, but pipeline isn't strong. This one catches a lot of founders out. The team's busy, calls are happening, meetings are happening, CVs are even being sent out. The CRM looks active, but the pipeline isn't real because activity and pipeline are not the same thing. A pipeline is future revenue. Activity is literally just a movement. So the question is, how much of your forecast is actually committed? How much is assumption? How much hope? Most recruitment businesses under 1 million can't answer that. And most recruitment forecasts, they're not forecasts, they're just wish lists with a spreadsheet attached, which means every month starts from scratch. You don't have predictability, you've got optimism. And optimism is not a growth strategy. And reason 4, there is no consistent sales engine. So most smaller recruitment businesses rely on a small amount of effort or a lot of effort, not systems. One consultant win clients one way, another does it differently, and a third does it completely differently. There's no standard, no process, no predictability on how people actually do the role. So when someone performs well, everyone says, yeah, it's just how they work. But when they leave, that performance leaves with them. The business that scale have a sales engine, qualification standards, business development standards. How do you develop a client? The pipeline standards. And then what that does is performance stops being dependent on personality and it starts becoming repeatable. Reason 5, they focus on growth instead of control. Now, this is the biggest one. Every founder tells me they want growth. But the growth is not the problem. Control is. And because growth without control, it creates intensity. So more clients, more people, more complexity, more risk. And most recruitment businesses don't hit a revenue ceiling. They hit a control ceiling. The founders I work with don't usually need more activity. They need more control, commercial, structural, and leadership control. When one of those 3 things improve, growth becomes easier. Revenue becomes more predictable, cash flow improves, decisions are easier to approve, and the founder stops carrying the entire business on their shoulders. So look, if you are a recruitment business and you're stuck under that £1 million mark, I've got 5 questions. If I disappeared 30 days, what breaks? What percentage of revenue comes from my biggest client? What percentage comes from my top 2 billers? Do I have a sales engine or just talented individuals? Your answers will tell you exactly where the blockage is, because most recruitment businesses don't hit a revenue ceiling. They hit a control ceiling. And until that changes, growth will always feel harder than it should. If you answer those 5 questions honestly, and even if one makes you uncomfortable, your business isn't stuck because of growth, it's stuck because of control. So look, if you found this useful, subscribe to the channel. And every week I'm going to be breaking down around predictable revenue, stronger case studies on founder dependency in your recruitment business. And if you want to set up a call, please comment control and we'll definitely set up a call.